Wife for Life. Here we go. So today, guys, I want to welcome none other than a very close friend of mine. I mean, I look up to her. We have great synergy in our marriages, her husband and my husband, her and I am so excited to share with you today none other than London Royal.
Hi.
Hey, London. Hey. So, London, tell us about London Royal, or as my husband would say, Royale.
Royal with an E. Well, I am London Royal. I am a woman. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a pastor. I am a counselor. I am an accountant. So that's just a little bit of who I am. But I have been married for 27 years to my wonderful husband, Reggie Royal.
Woo!
And we have four children. We have two biological sons, 17 and 15. I have a foster child who we really would like to adopt. He's 14. And we've just brought another foster daughter into the house, and she's 10.
You got a girl.
Yes.
Oh, Princess Royal.
Princess Royal. Aww. She's just taking the shine from me. That's what it is.
Oh, that is so awesome. I love that. I didn't know.
September 1st.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So we're looking to adopt her as well. So we'll see how it works.
Man, that's crazy because we had this extensive conversation pre-taping.
We did.
And I forgot all about that journey. So what would you say to other wives that are out there who are considering adoption or going through adoption? What advice would you give them?
I would say you should do it. We're in an agency where we deal with children that are like high on the spectrum, like they have a lot of behavior issues. So you don't have to go to the top. Our first one, we went like to the top and he tried us, but we're still believing God for him. But there are many children in the system that need homes, forever homes. And so if you don't have children, or if you might be an empty nester, you want to get back in the nest again, go ahead and go through DCFS and adopt a child. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
I love the fact that you guys are going for the kids that maybe nobody else is going for. Like, come on, that is so admirable, right, guys? Because they need love too.
They do, and they've been through so much. Our first child, he was a son. He had been through 24 placements before he got to us. He's been in DCFS since he was 6 months old, so it's a journey, through with him. But, he's allowed us to help him in some areas not. So now he's, back in the process. So we're really fighting for him. So we were at dinner August 31st, we were at dinner. And just me and Reggie, and somebody got a call. We got a call and they said, hey, we got a little girl. And we have never decided to do girls. We were like, I'm the only girl in the house. I don't need any other girls. So we said, okay, we'll finish eating our dinner and then we'll, call you back. We'll talk to the boys because we always include our biological sons.
Y'all hear that?
We don't do things like that. They're in the full process because they have to welcome the new child in as well. So we talk with them and we're like, okay, we're going to do it. And later on, I told Reggie, I said, I believe we made this decision with our heart and not with our head. Because our heads would have said, we don't need no more kids. They're about to go to college soon. My 17-year-old is a senior. My 15-year-old is a sophomore. He's on his way out. And now we bring a 10-year-old girl into the house. So we have some more years before we can become empty nesters.
Bless y'all ministry. Because I already have 4, and let me tell you, I love my babies. I really love my babies. But empty nesterhood is on the horizon, and I'm excited. So with that being said, you guys have a ministry and have had a ministry for a very long time.
Yes.
Tell us about that ministry journey, how it came about, because I think there are going to be some ministry wives that'll be listening and want to hear your journey.
Okay. So we got married in 1995, and we started out for maybe almost a year by ourselves, just the two of us, just the two of us.
Hey.
We started out with just the two of us. In 1996, less than a year later, we started a singing group called Judah. And so now it's called Reggie Royal and Judah. So we were in ministry from almost less than a year until now. So we started our church in 2007. So we've been pastoring together for 15 years.
Okay, wait. I got to put a pin in it. You say you sing.
I do. I'm a soprano. I sing.
Should we get a sample? Should we get a
Lord.
sample, y'all? She said, "Oh Lord, you didn't warm up. You didn't do your me."
La, 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 la.
Oh, yeah, she could sing. Did y'all hear the la-las? Okay. I won't put you on the spot, but
Okay,
that's
thank you
awesome.
so much.
That's so awesome. Okay, so continue.
So when Reggie was I believe it was like 12, he said the Lord told him he, prophesied to that he would be a pastor. And I didn't know him at the time. But on my end, when I was a young girl, I knew that I was going to marry a pastor or a preacher at that time. Lord didn't show me pastor. And I think if he had shown me pastor, I would have probably said, hold up, God, pastor. What is really going on? So we've both been in church our entire lives.
Wow.
So he's on one end, he's going to be a pastor. I'm on one end, I'm going to marry a preacher. And then we see each other in another singing group before we started Judah. We met each other there, and the rest is history and her story.
Wow. So 1 year, and then boom, ministry. So I remember us having a conversation and just talking about how that has impacted your marriage and maybe even some advice that you would give us regarding 1 year and then boom, ministry.
I would say when you get married, you should know who you are. You should know who you are. And I mentioned before, woman, wife, mother. I listed woman first because that's who I am first.
Yes.
If I don't know who I am as a woman, I'm not going to know who I am as a wife, a mother, and so on. So knowing who you are before you get married, working to become that woman that God has called you to be, that is what you should do. That's the best advice that I can give you. Because when you don't do that, you allow your husband or others to define you, and then you're not living your God-given potential.
Yes, your husband or your children or your job. Yes, and that's huge. But what about some of the wives who are already wives? How do they find themselves in the midst of marriage?
So even being a woman, you have to take care of yourself. When we got married, I dressed a certain way. I did this and I did that, and I caught them in a sense. You have to do the same thing to keep them, which is what you did to get them.
Yes.
So we can't let ourselves go and think I got them and get all disproportionate and all of this. I mean, things happen, but we should always be working to be healthy. I need to lose some weight. I'm on this weight loss journey, been on it for a minute, but I'm going to get there one day in Jesus' name.
Me too.
Me too. But working, and not just for weight loss, being mentally healthy, being mentally stable. We talk about, we call Life Track with London. It teaches people how to find and fulfill their purpose in life. One of the ways to do that is through self-care. Taking care of yourself. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. You can get a book, you can get puzzles, keeping your mind going, because the mind is a powerful thing. And we always say the mind it's terrible to waste the mind. So keeping your mind going, getting books, either self-help books or I love puzzle books. I love doing Sudoku on my phone and different puzzles like that. And it keeps our brain functioning. Yeah. So taking care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else.
Yes.
Yeah. And sometimes as women, as wives, we always put everybody else before ourselves.
Come on, say
but
that.
If we are sick and down, we can't do anything for them.
That's right.
So that's a great piece of advice. Take care of yourself.
Yes.
Take care of yourself.
I absolutely love London because she is so fly, y'all. She is so fashion forward. Like her and her husband post every Sunday their Sunday fashion. And I'm like, man, I like how she put that together. I need to mimic that. Like, I love that you guys really kind of get into it and that you haven't allowed your wifehood or your motherhood to bring you down to feel like, oh, I don't have any time for me. me, you know. But I also love what you said when you talked about how our husbands play a key role in helping us stay true to who we are and who we were or what our aspirations were prior to marriage.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit of how Reggie has served you in that capacity, just in case, you know, some husbands may be listening, or if some wives need to say, hey, would you mind helping me in this capacity? I think you guys have done it and done it well. Would you share with them?
So when we got married, I was sharing with you that I made $16,000, which was nothing, but it was 27 years ago. So he made maybe 11,000. He was not intimidated by me being I wasn't the breadwinner, but I made the most money. He wasn't intimidated by that. He said, we make 27.
All right.
So I'm like, okay.
I like that.
So with husbands, you can't be intimidated by your wife. If she brings in more than you, Lord help us. Good. That's wonderful because you're making the money together. And so every endeavor that I've had, Reggie always pushes me towards. And sometimes I can sit back as far as ministry. I can sit back in the cut, you know, count the monies or do whatever I do in that area. But he's always pushing me to the forefront. He's not jealous because when I shine, he shines. So when, husbands, you have to be supportive of your wives. Find out what she likes to do. Push her towards that, just like we do with our children. We are called as parents to push them towards their bent. As husbands, you can help push your wife towards her bent, because sometimes when we get married, we step back into the shadows to be who we think others want us to be.
Yes.
But that's not our true selves, and we're not truly happy when we do those things. So husbands, push your wives into who God has called her to be. For Reggie, he pushed me even into what I wanted to do in accounting. So I went back to school. I started out with my associate's degree in accounting, and then I went back a couple of years later after I had children with my bachelor's degree.
Nice.
And then, you know, he's always, what do you like to do? You know, what do you want to do? He's pushing me in that area. Yeah. He doesn't like school, but I like school. And so he hey, you got to go to school? You want to go to school? He's not holding me back, because if I'm not happy, he won't be happy.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. And two things with that. The first thing I think about is leadership, right? When we think about leadership, the best leaders are able to identify the gifts of their team members, right? So as our husbands being and becoming great leaders is recognize what gifts your wife has and affirm her in those gifts, encourage her in those gifts, support her in those gifts, even challenge her in those gifts.
Yes.
We need that. We want that. We yearn for that. And we feel so supported if you guys do that. So I want to encourage all the husbands in that way, but also encourage the wives. If that's what you need from your husband, let your boo know.
Tell him.
Don't expect him to automatically know how to be the perfect husband for you.
Right.
You have to tell him what your needs are. So that's number one. Number two, what I got from you, which, guys, this is huge. I don't know about you guys, but I had this expectation that, I'm going to go to undergrad for 4 years. Then I'm going to go to grad school for 2 years. Then I'm going to get my doctorate in 2 years. Yes, I know. I'm putting it out there. Who knows if that part will still happen, the doctorate part. But at least we got, 2/3 of the way.
Right.
But the point is, sometimes things don't happen just like we think they should they would have. The beauty is, especially when you're married and you have family life and all this other stuff going on, the beauty is it's never too late.
It's never too late.
Tell them again.
Never
Tell them right
late.
here.
It is never too late. Never.
Never too late.
Never.
Never too late to reach for your dreams, your hopes, your wishes, even things that you were fearful of. Allow your husband to challenge you in that way.
Yeah.
I promise you, it will bless you.
You mentioned fear. Joyce Meyer has a saying in her book. She says, do it afraid. When you do it afraid, fear has to leave you because you've conquered it. So I've done a lot of things afraid.
Yes.
When I minister, whenever I minister, either to the women or even on a Sunday or a Wednesday, I'm doing it afraid. And when I step out, the Holy Ghost comes and takes over, and it's like, what was I scared of? But I think even fear for me allows me to know it's not about me.
Yeah.
It allows me to know, hey, the Holy Spirit is working through me to say what he needs to say, to get what he needs to get to the people. And I just yield to that. So do it afraid. If you are afraid, do it afraid. And allow your husband to push you into doing it afraid.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, well, actually, it's more than one thing that I absolutely love about you guys and your ministry. But I really want them, meaning our audience, meaning you guys, I really want you guys to be aware of what London and Reggie do as they pastor together. So can you tell them a little bit about Married Life Global and about Winning Wives? Is that right?
Winning Wives, Winning Women.
Yes.
Yes. So we, outside of the church, we have what's called Married Life with Reggie and London. So Reggie and I, we're very transparent about our lives. And sometimes I'm looking like, I don't want to tell this part of it. But God has called us to be transparent, because when you're transparent, people can see like, oh, they're teaching and they really go through this. It's not just a principle in a book. It's really what we live.
It's not fake or phony.
It's not fake or phony. It's like, we just did this yesterday. I'm talking to you about communication. I just gave him the silent treatment yesterday. And we talk about these things.
Right.
So when I think about it, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to be in a session. You know, we just had this little tiff. It's going to be in a session. But that's what Married Life, we are endeavoring to help married couples win in their marriage. And we have a book called Married Life, Building a Divorce-Proof Marriage. It is possible. A divorce-proof marriage is possible, but it takes work.
I want them to know I got my hoodie. Okay, you better get you a Perry. I like the divorce proof. That's awesome.
Yes, it is. It is awesome. And I was telling you when we talked about the whole when we got married, where this whole divorce proof comes from. But when we got married, we made a declaration that divorce is not an option. And so we have held on to that no matter, in the highs and the lows of our marriage. We have held on to the fact that for us, divorce is not an option. So for us, building a divorce-proof marriage, we've seen it in these 27 years.
Yeah.
Multiple things have come against us, but we stood on that part. And so that's our Married Life platform.
Well, wait now. You got to use that phrase that I love, that commitment phrase. Oh, man. The divorce proof commitment phrase that you use, I believe it was commit to the commitment.
Commit to the commitment. You made a commitment. I mean, when you get married, it's not just, we're two people coming one. It's a commitment. It is a God commitment. So when you commit to the commitment, no matter what happens, you operate in love. That is the best. I mean, love covers everything. Love is patient, it's kind. Go to 1 Corinthians 13, all of that. When you commit to that, you have no choice but to succeed.
I love that. I was telling you, I had just heard a clip on Instagram from another poster that loves marriage. And it was a rabbi that was talking about that we should, and this was more for single women, that we should look to marry men who love the idea of marriage. Not just, oh, I love you, but they love the concept of marriage, because if they love the concept of marriage, then it greatens your chance for the longevity, for the death do you part, right? But if they just love you, what about when those feelings are gone? Because don't we know sometimes those feelings are not there, even though we're in the relationship.
We have dealt with couples that have divorced, and they'll tell us, I love her, I love him, I just can't do life with him. So they're saying, I love you, but I can't be married to you. So that's exactly what you said. It happens.
Yeah. So
good.
Phenomenal. Commit to the commitment, guys. Commit to the commitment. That's a London Royal quote. All right. Winning Wives, Winning Women.
So Winning Women, we're on a mission to help women win in every area of their lives. And then Winning Wives, it's a small group for our church. It's called a life group. And so we deal with, it's probably about 15 of us wives in there. And we encourage, wives to be wives and to be the best that God has called them to be. We don't bash the husbands, because it's really easy to bash the husband in these wives group. And so the first thing I tell them, when you point one finger at your husband, you have 3 fingers pointing back at you. And so I was sharing with you about the book that I read when I first got married. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this book. It's The Power of a Praying Wife. And so I'm like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna pray for his relationship. I'm gonna pray for this. I'm gonna pray for that. I opened up the book. The first chapter was a prayer for me. I was like, no. So you telling me before I can get to him, I have to get to me? So
got her.
So got him. So that's why, I help train the women. We're transparent in there. I tell them things about me and they tell me things about them. And so it's all a thing or all a goal to help. We want to help people win in every area of their lives.
I love it. So I didn't ask you this beforehand, but it came to my mind, and this was pretty phenomenal because I think it kind of went viral or semi-viral, where they had some type of function. So I'm going to give you a chance to tell everybody about it, where there was a young lady or a teen who shared some phenomenal input for parents, I believe.
Yeah.
And it just stuck with me. I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. But I was so disappointed that you guys didn't get, like, what do they call it? The credit or something. Like, they didn't tag you on it.
No, they didn't.
But I tagged you guys. I tagged you guys because it was phenomenal. And you deserve, as Kevin Hart would say, your rose is now. Look, we always want to applaud people after the fact. But what was that function, and what prompted it, and what prompted the comment that the young lady said?
So that was part of we call it community talk. So we, on Wednesday nights, we have community talk at our church.
Phenomenal.
And so this particular one
were phenomenal. Okay, community talk. Go ahead.
This particular one was about the youth. So we had a group of parents, and some of the parents were teachers, they were counselors, different areas that they work in. So we had asked a question. I think the question was, can you and your child be best friends? And so we had asked the youth to come up and kind of give their input, and some of them were kind of slow to the punch. So this young lady, she came up, she figured, I'm going to speak for all the youth. And she dropped some nuggets. Now, mind you, this happened maybe like earlier in the year. So I don't know who pulled it back up to make it go viral, but it was on several platforms. And so our team was like, we're going viral and this and this and this. So they were going in, some of the platforms and trying to tag us. And I think I went through a lot of the platforms and I got banned from Instagram for like 48 hours because I, put the same comment, like, if you want to see the full clip, go to this website or go to this YouTube page.
What? Is that not legal? I had no idea.
But
it's your clip.
48 hours, exactly. No, for me, I couldn't post on anybody else's social media with that verbiage. But it was basically something that, our youth, she stood up for the youth. And we heard her, and we had another session where we came back because it's not the end of what she said. It's always another part to the story.
Yeah.
So we came back to give her the feedback and how us as parents, how we feel,
right.
And we listened to her as well, But that was several months ago. But it was amazing to see that a lot of people were blessed. A lot of parents were even apologizing to their children.
Yes.
I was on the stage like, oh my goodness, I believe my boys, feel the same way. I might have made them feel the same way. I might have been raised one way. We have to raise them a totally different way because it's a totally different time that we're living in. So for her to give us that insight, it was great. But we did have to correct her as well because just because you said it, don't make it law.
Right.
So there's a balance to it. So we did have to bring balance. And when we brought balance, there was a backlash for the balance. So it's like,
From parents or children?
No, from social media. Some people were saying, they were making digs at my husband. So I'm protective.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, okay, really? So it's like, okay, just let it die down. It went viral. We had several million posts of views. But he said, give it a couple of days. It'll die down. And that's just what it did. But I love the fact that it brought out, how children feel.
Yes.
And we don't see that as parents. We don't see that. We're trying to do the best that we can for them. I always say I want my children to have better than what I had because I know I didn't have a lot at all growing up. And so sometimes it comes off a little bit different. So we were able to hear a youth's perspective. And so that's what that was about.
Yeah. And what I love about it is that based on how you were raised, as you mentioned, we may need to pause and make sure that we are giving our children a voice. Now, that was a public forum, but this is something you could do at home.
Yes.
You can ask your children their opinion. I remember when Ray first started asking our kids, well, how do you think we're doing as parents? And I'm like, I don't want you to ask them that, but I couldn't say that in front of the kids.
Right.
So I had to put on my straight face and allow them to give input. And sometimes it was not comfortable to hear.
Right.
But other times it was like, wow. And then as they got older, it became even better because now they're cognizant of their surroundings, of what their friends' households are like. And so they were now able to say, actually, we have it darn good.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
They're once they got older, they were able to say, oh, now we understand why you wanted the parents' name and number and presence when we went over there.
Oh, my goodness.
And why you did this and why we felt it was strict, but it was protective.
Yes.
And it showed you cared.
Yes.
And some of our friends' parents don't care.
They don't.
And so that's when, as they got older, it came full circle.
What age is that they come to?
Teenage.
Teenage?
Yeah, it was
I have a
teenage for us.
17-year-old and a 15-year-old. They haven't come to that realization yet. I'm just wondering how long is it going to be before they see what I see.
Well, okay, so I will say this, and it may be different for some than others, but I do have mostly girls.
Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah,
they may come to that sooner.
Yeah. The boys?
The girls.
The girls? Okay.
Yeah, they probably come to that
Lord,
revelation soon. You said you like being the only female.
Yes. I maybe didn't know what I was thinking or saying, but that conversation did open up for people. We saw people we didn't even know on that platform saying they were crying and they apologized to their children and they said, hey, I'm going home. When they get home from school, I'm going to ask them different questions. So it prompted conversation.
Yes.
And that was the goal of it. So there were some bad things or bad comments that were said, but the overall goal was accomplished. You know, and so I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. Okay, well, man, this has been such a blessing. I just want to close it up with one more question.
Okay.
And that question is, when you think about our viewers, our listeners, and you think about marriage for 27 years, OMG, right? And you think about all the people that you serve, pastoring together, but also since you've gone to school and gotten your degree in marriage and family therapy, what advice, from clients to members to personal experiences, what advice would you give our viewers and our listeners on how to be a wife for life, or how to be the best wife for life, or even how to improve being a wife for life?
So with marriage, there's two people. You have the husband and the wife. And so I would say for both of you to do the work. Marriage is work. It's not after you say I do, that's when the work starts. So I would say commit to doing the work, whether that work is communication, whether that work is, conflict resolution, whatever that work is, commit to doing the work, because nothing happens without work. It's not easy peasy. It is work. It's good work, but it is work. So whatever you have, whatever deficiencies you see, in your marriage, whether, like I said, it's conflict resolution, sometimes we don't like to be confrontational. Do that. Communicate with your husband. Let him know your needs. Husbands, let your wife know your needs so you can perform the needs together. So I always say, some people, you can't be left out. If I'm doing 100% of the work, he's doing 100% of the work. If he's giving me attention, I'm giving him attention. Nobody's left out. So we have to commit to doing the work of marriage. So that would be a big thing that I would say.
I love that. I love that. And one of the other things we talked about is the importance of doing self-work. Don't always look across from you at your husband, at your child, and say, hey, you need to fix that.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, after these 26 years of marriage, one thing has rung true, and that is we only grow if I grow.
That is so true.
Right?
Yes.
We only grow if I grow. If I do my part in growing as an individual, that helps us grow in our marriage, in any relationship, actually, whether it be with a coworker, an extended family member, your children, your husband, heck, yourself. You have to, as London said, do the work to grow as an individual. And not only that, First Lady, I always think about First Proverbs 3, where it talks about how we could win our husbands over by our behavior, not just our lip service, right? So if we're doing the work, what comes out of the mouth is what's in the heart, right? So if we're doing the work to be better, that's going to bless everyone around us, our husbands, especially, but our children, and it's going to build legacy because if your children are blessed by what they see, guess what they're going to do? Mimic it.
They're going to mimic it and build in their families.
Yes.
Yeah. My pastor, she says, act like he's acting like he's supposed to act, and that'll change the way you act.
Ooh, I like that.
That was a little tongue twister, so I say it one more time.
Yes.
Act like he's acting like he's supposed to act, and that'll change how you act. So that we put the onus on us.
Yeah.
So when we do our part, when we act like he's acting like he's supposed to act, then we're going to change it, because we're the only ones that can change us. Nobody else can change. No matter how much Reggie tries to change me, he can't change me.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that can change me.
Yep, and the same vice versa.
Same vice versa.
We can't pick them up and throw them, can we? So we might as
Sometimes
well.
you want to, but
Sometimes we want to, but we can do this.
we can do this.
We can fill this up. So I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
having
appreciative of you. Thank you. Listen, guys, this was another episode of Wife for Life. I know y'all enjoyed it. I won't even ask, because I enjoyed it too. I hope you grew. I hope you learned some stuff. And I hope you follow my girl, London Royal. Married Life Global, winning wives, winning women, even doing community things. Y'all, she's doing big things. They're doing big things. I hope you guys are doing big things too. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Wife for Life. Until next time, happy loving.